Joining us now to talk about the impact of this meeting is international relations professor Arne Kislenko from the Toronto Metropolitan University. Professor, how significant was this unexpected meeting between Blinken and Lavrov? Do you think it changes anything?
I don't think it changes very much at all, to be totally candid with you. It's too early to tell if it's going to have any impact whatsoever. It's a curious thing, right? It's an awkward thing, and it shows you just how even heads of state and foreign affairs delegates can be awkward people too. They didn't plan a meeting. It was in effect a kind of walk-by commentary that Blinken started with on Lavrov, catching him off guard, I think. And it's significant in the sense that, I suppose at least they're talking, you could say. At least it was an endeavor to talk about something, given that they haven't really spoken at all. They've been in the same room a few times since the war began, but kind of avoided each other, right? Much like sort of estranged partners would. So this was at least an attempt to get, some sort of person-to-person contact.
Obviously, some of the ministers present very divided on where they stand on Russia's war with Ukraine. India, the host of the country, has declined to blame Russia for the war. What kind of message does this division send to Russia?
That's a great question. It sends the message that they want, which is that we in countries like India and a few others are not prepared to toe the American line so quickly. Let's be really frank about it. India's position is purely mercenary on this. The vast majority of their military equipment comes from Russia. They have very serious economic issues with China in particular. And of course, China is backing Russia to a large degree. And the current government in India, Modi, has sort of crafted himself as being somewhat, if not often anti-Western in nature. I doubt very much whether the vast majority of Indians are divided in their opinion on it, but their government certainly is playing that game. So the message to Russia is a good one in the sense that not everybody in the world is necessarily opposed to us. That includes their most important ally, which is China, and then on a secondary level, countries like India. But we shouldn't get carried away, right? Because at the end of the day, I don't know that changes too much, given the calculation of the vast majority of really important world nations, obviously the United States, Canada, you can throw in there, all of the EU countries, Japan, and so on, which have made it crystal clear where they stand on this and made it increasingly clear, including Blinken in this brief meeting, that they're not about to stop support of Ukraine.
And Blinken had a message for China and warned that it would be a problem if China were to help Russia in their war. Do you think the Chinese will get involved?
That's a great question. Personally, I don't think so, not right away. And it's complex, but China has a really difficult position here. On the one hand, it is trying to be supportive of Russia to the degree that Russia is defying an American-led, American-dominated world. That's in China's interests, absolutely. And as you know, China has a host of bilateral problems with the United States, everything from espionage to the arms race to Taiwan. So again, in its vigorous foreign policy, Premier Xi is leading a kind of aggressive outward look of China, and Russia is kind of helping in that respect. So I think it's a lot of saber rattling at this point, more than it is a genuine military commitment to Russia. But we don't know, right? Premier Xi is a bit of an odd duck in his own right.
Thanks so much for joining us, Professor.
It's my pleasure.